Apparently the recording has stopped. It's in progress again. Take two. Please ask questions and that, put your hands up, put it in the comments, or even just interrupt if you are desperate for an answer that way. So my name is Phil Wilson-Perkin. I'm the co-chair of the BECTU Art Technicians branch, and we represent art technicians, art handlers, studio assistants, studio technicians, art and logistics. So that's people who drive the big trucks, who deliver artwork as well. We also represent people who work in framing studios as well, and we set up the union to be as broad and as wide an umbrella for our industry as we can. What is a trade union? Unions are groups of workers who are organised to make changes in their workplaces or freelance sectors. A good example of this is the English National Opera. And here members realised that there was a big pay discrepancy between the majority male theatre technicians and the mainly female costume and wardrobe staff. So the costume and wardrobe staff were getting paid a significant amount less than the theatre technicians. And with the support of union reps, they collected data to raise the issue. And then again, via the union, they reported this to the management. So what the union were able to do then was provide them with resources and information about obtaining that information, obtaining the different rates of pay in which people were using. And a lot of that was simply just talking to colleagues and things like that. Did somebody just have a question there?
I think it was just somebody entering the Zoom, Phil, that hadn't quite muted. I think you're good to go.
Okie dokes, no worries. And with this information, the union was able to go back to the National Opera and report this to staff, to the management, and we're able to negotiate a higher pay for those staff, but also back pay as well. BECTU is a union for non-performing roles in film, TV, cinema, art, galleries, museums, theatres, and live events and leisure. So when you go to a gig, the people who set the stage up, the sound technicians, the roadies who carry all the equipment on, the technicians there, they are likely to be members of BECTU as well. BECTU represents employees, so that's people who have proper contracts with places, casual members, and also freelance. It has relationships and written agreement with employers across the creative sector. It has set pay rates and terms and conditions in workplaces, and it has set national rate cards and pay agreements. We're going to go into rate cards a bit later on because it's something that we're sort of very interested in at the moment. So is everyone's head obscuring these little bits of text on the right of the screen? Okay, it's not for me anymore. There are in-house agreements with some art galleries. Most of these seem to be in London, though. Mostly the ICA recognise BECTU, the Whitechapel Gallery and the South London Gallery recognises. And BECTU is part of, or joined, another union a few years ago called Prospect, and Prospect represent people who work in the civil service and nationalised heritage sites. So that's why when we were looking to set up a union, we chose BECTU because of the heritage sites and the sort of civil service aspect of it. So Prospect represent management and stuff and staff at the Tate Gallery, but another union also represents staff at the Tate Gallery. It's called the PCS union. If you do end up getting a job with or a gallery and you are looking to join a union there, it's probably best you join the one that the staff belong to already. I know that we are a union branch set up specifically for freelancers. Not for freelancers, but for art technicians. We do represent people who are properly employed as well, but we represent those because they don't have an existing union branch there. So if you go and get a job at a gallery and you do find out that most of the staff there, or most of the technical staff there, are members of PCS, I highly recommend joining PCS rather than, BECTU. Not many people would say don't join us, but we did set up this branch so that we could support art technicians, and sometimes the best support is sending them on the right path. They usually impact the unions in this place usually impact permanent staff. If you are in a place and you are permanent staff, joining your union is the best way to actually implement change and have an effect on your working place. When you have an agreement with a union, it means that your reps can negotiate pay and terms and conditions, and you vote for reps, and the reps have to listen to you so that you actually have a voice in your employment. Freelancers can organize as a union, either through group negotiations on freelance pay. Usually there'll be somebody who's done rep training and they'll be able to help out with that, or there'll be a union organizer who can help guide your branch, which is sort of what we do. Or you can refer to rate cards. We're going to talk a bit more about rate cards later on, but a rate card is when members set minimum rates for the sector. This is usually comes into effect with theatre, film, TV and stuff like that. So it's basically, if you go and get a job on TV or something like that, there are standardized rates of pay, which means nobody's going to undercut you, and means that the mean nasty bosses are going to try and save money by getting someone cheaper. They're going to pay you for the work you do. BECTU can support you when you're chasing an employer who hasn't paid you as well. They have ways of doing this that at one point can include their legal team, which is cool and sort of a bit scary, and another point where they can sort of name and shame people who are poor payers. Now, we don't have this in the ArtTech branch, but there's another branch out there, the Live Events Network, who have a massive, huge membership, and they have like a one WhatsApp group dedicated to just saying who's bad at paying, and so that people can avoid you. That's sort of one, they've taken that on their own. That's not an official BECTU thing. But what BECTU can do is if they still won't pay you, the union can provide advice on how to go to the small claims court and or put them in the Ask First list, which is a list that's published in BECTU's industry-wide magazine. So it's read by pretty much everyone in the creative arts industry, and it lists bad employers. So if that employer eventually wants to go and get somebody to do a job, they're going to find it very difficult if they're renowned for being awful to people. Contracts. Make sure you read the terms and conditions of a contract. If there isn't one, send an email saying how pleased you are to work with them, and here are your terms and conditions. There's a template booking document on the Art Technicians website. That's one of the things we did for our colleagues who aren't yet members as well, because setting up our branch again, we sort of wanted to expand beyond our membership and actually make the industry a lot better to work for. And what the template is, actually I've got slides of that, I'm going to get into that a little bit later on. But if you do send the terms and conditions and they don't challenge you in writing, then those terms and conditions have been met. So if you even include just a little bit saying I want you to abide by health and safety standards in small print at the bottom of your email, if they don't challenge that, then that means they're going to meet those and you've got it in writing. If they do challenge it, you can always negotiate, and there's lots of resources on the BECTU website for members to teaching members and instructing them how to negotiate. And also don't work for free. Simple as that. You will undermine yourself, you'll undermine others, you'll become renowned as cheap free labor. Great. There's a lot of sort of horrible gossip. Hopefully we'll get to the end of the slideshow and we can do a nice bit of gossip about all that sort of stuff. later on. So training, reps, freelancers, and vocational training. BECTU provides training for reps to help them organise around issues and support members who need advice. Now, this can be stuff from simply how to organise the union, but also there's a lot of stuff to do with the reps will have training in mental health, safety, and things like that. They will also be your first port of call if you are working in a place with a rep for any sort of safety issues, pay issues, negotiating issues, promotional issues, and things like that. BECTU also provides training for freelancers. There's pre-recorded webinars behind the member login. For example, how to negotiate your rates. That's a very popular one. Members also organise their own training, and this is something we are sort of doing, and this is why we're sort of so happy to do these teaching courses, because it lets us know where the industry wants knowledge, what skills are lacking. And members organise their own training in coordination with BECTU's training team when they see a training gap. For example, the TV, film, hair and makeup branch set up training for hair and makeup artists to learn how to do the hair and makeup for Black actors, as there was a skills shortage in the area. So there you go, that's the union and the branch reacting to the industry. We're looking into doing that. We're looking at gaps and also wants in knowledge there, like the events, London events branch got quite a good discount on doing some electrical training that was very, industry specific. So it's not like they were learning how to wire up a house, but they were doing stuff very specifically for venues and things like that. Legal advice. If you have a good legal claim, BECTU will be able to support that by possibly providing, well, they'll provide the initial advice and could even pay legal counsel at the employment tribunal. This is only available to existing members. BECTU have a weird thing where they don't like people turning up with pre-existing issues, which is sort of a bit of a shame, because sometimes you don't know you need a union until you need one. Whereas now they're sort of reviewing pre-existing issues on a case-by-case issue and deciding whether or not to take that issue on as a way, if it benefits recruitment. So, if you come saying your workplace is awful and you're not a BECTU member, you'd have to join to then get representation from them, and they would only take on that issue if it looked like everyone else was going to join, which is a bit of a shame. It feels like a bit gatekeepery to me. Tax resources and webinars. The thing with BECTU is that they aren't accountants. They can't do your tax return for you, but they have a lot of tax guidelines for freelancers. And they also do really, really interesting webinars about tax issues and stuff like that. I've seen a few about bookkeeping, which have helped me a lot. Sorry, this is a really boring part of the talk. Networking. There's a lot of things go on at networking. You find employment, you find knowledge, you find friends, colleagues. Also, everyone likes a good chinwag about what's wrong with the industry, and that's a very important place to find out where you can go as a branch. Updates. There's a magazine. They send out an industry-wide magazine full of all sorts of cool stuff. And then there's lots of social media points of contact as well. Now, if you are a member and you join, you get cool discounts on stuff like Apple products. You can get discounts on laptops and iPhones and stuff like that. You can also get discounts on travel insurance. You can get discounts on holidays, depending if they've got them there. I very nearly bought an oven a few months ago and then realized I've got nowhere to put an oven just because it was so heavily discounted for union members. This is what I think most people join our branch for. It's the public liability insurance. If you're a freelancer, then you have to have adequate public liability insurance. And BECTU membership can cost as little as 1% of your gross salary. And then you purchase PLI on top of that. The insurance makes sure, this insurance makes sure you're insured regarding claims about causing personal injury. That's up to £10 million. So that's pretty healthy. That's a lot more than most others offer. Also, there's a policy inbuilt that if you break the property in your custody or control, and it isn't your property, you're insured up to £25,000. Now, I know that's not going to replace a BECTU, but it could pay for the conservation or reframing or something like that. There's also some personal accidental cover included if you can't work because of an accident on your way to work or at work. If you aren't insured and someone takes out a large claim against you, this can be incredibly serious. Like, there are examples where galleries have said to their technical staff, don't worry, it's all fine. And to the gallery, they may think it's all fine, but it won't be the gallery that comes looking for the costs of any accident you're involved with. It'll be their insurers. And this has happened where art technicians have been told by the gallery, don't worry, we've got your back. And then the insurers have said, no, you haven't. They owe us X amount of money. And art technicians have been hunted down by insurers and made to pay an awful lot of money. So you must be insured if you're going to work as a freelancer. If you do get a job with a gallery and you're on their books, you'll be under their insurance. But if you're a freelancer, you're out on your own. Can
I just interrupt, Phil?
Hello.
Hi, I'm Sarah from ArtTechSpace. Help set up the union with Phil. But you do need to actually double check with your employer if you're definitely on their insurance, because some galleries in particular, like I know a commercial gallery I worked for, I was on their insurance as long as I was working in certain environments, but when I went out and did jobs for them, so like going into private homes and things, sometimes I wasn't technically insured. The artwork was insured, but I wasn't. So you need to just check that with your employer, because a lot of the time you're actually not covered. But yeah, check with your employer.
Yeah, I've worked with full-time technicians who, when I've said, are you insured, they have absolutely no idea. And then they've tried to ask about that, and then nobody else higher up in the gallery has an idea at all. There's a lot on the BECTU website about the PLI, because it is a big draw in the industry, especially if you are working as a freelance and stuff like that. I actually went along and negotiated this insurance policy with Hensilla, who are the insurers, and because they were insuring people, camera equipment, they're insuring people who carry guitars and equipment well worth more than £25,000. They were also dealing with people who work in heritage sites with, you know, priceless artifacts around, and also they were dealing with people who work at the Tate as well. So they understood our needs as a art technician and the industry we work in. Just a quick note on the insurance: if you join as a member, the insurance usually lasts for 12 months, but it's set on a specific date. They've changed it recently to this sort of timeline, and I think from December it's probably going to be for 12 months. But it's like, if you the policy covers you from May the 1st 2023 to the 31st of December 2023, subject to eligibility. If you pay after the 1st of May, the policy will cover you from the day of your payment is processed until the 31st, but it will still cost you £26.67. So if you join up and pay your insurance today, it's still going to cost you £26.67. I don't know if you've ever actually tried to look for your own PLI. If you do PLI on your own for an insurance company for this job, oh boy, it's expensive. A lot more expensive than that. It's a 2-in-1 policy plan that provides public liability with cover of up to 10 million quid, and that includes the £25,000 care and carry policy, and then it covers you for the personal accident of up to £100 a week, includes provisional claims of up to 20. Oh, I've done that one. Personal accident cover of £100 per week is up to 52 weeks, where the injury forces a member aged under 70 to stop working, excluding the first fortnight. I think that's in most insurance policies anyway. And a £20,000 lump sum in event of specific injury or death. So if you die, someone's going to get 20 grand that you like. There's also different policies depending on your age. If you're over 70, then it changes slightly. And there's also differences if you're a limited company as well. Right, sorry about that. That was quite dry. Some people say we don't need unions and that they are harking back to the miners' strike. But this isn't true. The unions we've got are very active at the moment. Pay doesn't reflect inflation. In-work poverty has grown. People living in higher work-intense households comprised 18.8% of people living in poverty in 2019. So that's 20% of people living in poverty were in households with 2 people doing full-time work. Compare that to 10 years ago, where that number was 12%. And in the mid-90s, that number was almost 8%. So, you know, we do have a lot of work ahead of us to try and make this society a bit fairer, and unions are the people who are fighting for that. We have some of the worst employment rights in Europe, and the government wants to make it harder for workers to improve their working lives. The only people who are sort of fighting to get that changed is mostly unions, and then a couple of other organisations. The pictures we've got on the screen now are from BECTU venues and members. That's the Picture House strike. They were asking for the London living wage because Picture House were paying people really, really badly. And also the Curzon in Soho was paying people pretty bad. The Curzon actually went ahead and paid people the London living wage, and they now use it on all their advertising. Whereas Picture House, the people who represented the branches and the union dealing with the Picture House will tell you that dealing with them is one of the worst things they've ever had to do. Picture House and Cineworld, who own them, are scumbags, real rotters. Yeah, that's about that. There's a pop star. He likes the unions. This is more thinking about America, but yeah, thank you very much, Bruce Springsteen, for your support. There's a lot of places you can find information about BECTU. We have our own Instagram accounts and Facebook sites. We also have our own BECTU Art Technicians website as well, with a lot more information. That's us, the BECTU Art Technicians. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what we've done and why we were formed, firstly. And we were formed a number of years ago because, well, I'll tell you my side and then Sarah can tell you her side. I did see a number of colleagues being treated rather poorly by galleries, and looking back and seeing just actually how poorly treated I was, especially with regards to health and safety. There was a big commercial gallery in the centre of London that had private viewing rooms on its second floor, and to get artwork into those private viewing rooms, you'd have to open up floor-to-ceiling windows and then lean out and throw a rope down and hoist with your own strength the artworks up in through that window. And there was nothing, no tethers, no security, nothing really keeping you safe from being pulled out of that window by the artwork. And yeah, that's one of the examples. But also there was a lot of people, I saw a lot of members of staff, a lot of friends and colleagues just being treated ridiculously. And there's a lot of examples of toxic workplace behavior and this trickle down effect of just bullying and things like that. And then I saw that BECTU have worked with art galleries. I saw that BECTU also worked with events and people who do very, very similar jobs to us. And one day I just sort of tweeted them rather late at night, asking them if they represent art technicians. They said no, but they would really like to talk to us about it. Sarah, you can chip in now with your version of that if you'd like, or you don't have to.
Yeah, I was working full-time for a very large commercial gallery. When I quit, some stuff went down. I still don't know what happened, but essentially the gallery then got rid of me, but did it in a way that was completely illegal. And I sought legal advice and spoke to 2 lawyers who said, oh yeah, absolutely, they've completely acted illegally and have broken quite a lot of labor laws in how they've treated you. But essentially, because they have so much money and they have so many of their own lawyers, they'll keep you just in litigation for years, even though technically you could win a case, but you'll never get there because they'll just bleed you dry of money. And so I was told to just give up. And that's with Phil's support. We then, because we had talked about it for years, we decided to do something about it. And so helped create the BECTU Art Technician Union. Yeah.
Hooray. Yeah, and since then we have been up to all sorts. I mean, we've helped members with legal costs when their employer was then breaking the labour laws and stuff like that. We had one group of members who were employed at a very big fancy artist studio, and the artist was he was employing them in one way but paying them in another. He was employing them as full-time staff but also paying them as freelancers, but then refusing them employment if they went and worked elsewhere. And this was at a time when they were only being employed for 2 days a week. So that meant that if they went and worked elsewhere for the rest of the 3 days a week to try and meet their needs, then that artist would make them redundant and stop employing them. And that's illegal to do as freelance. So we were able to support them, and they were able to then take the studio to court and get back paid benefits and back paid wages that were owed to them as if they were employed as a full-timer throughout that time, and hopefully the studio learned the lesson. There's also lots of other things we've done. I can't go into too much detail because those details are between the members and their employers and the union, but we have negotiated better working conditions, better pay deals. One gallery did a fire and rehire of all their technical staff, and BECTU was able to step in and then negotiate better conditions. So when the gallery thought, we're going to screw you guys over, make you fire and rehire and bring you back at a lower pay, BECTU were able to step in and make better conditions. So the technical team went back in at a better rate. They also turned a firing into a redundancy, which meant that the person was able to get their redundancy pay as well. And they've negotiated better standards of work at the different galleries that they're also recognised in. A lot of what we do as a branch ends up on our website so far, a lot of what we do here, because we sort of see that the subs and the fees to the union can be sort of a bit gatekeepery, and we want to improve our industry, and not everyone in the industry can yet afford to become a member. I really suggest you do become a member, because the stuff and the benefits you get and the security you get from it is brilliant. But there are things on our website that can help you out if you aren't a member. So I'm going to come back to this page a couple of times. A lot of the stuff is hidden behind a paywall though, but that's official union business. One of the first things we did as a union branch, which was we managed to get this off the road very quickly, and it looks quite dry, but it did have some delightful pictures of people handling art. It was this tiny pocket size. It was like the size of a sort of a little bit smaller than a passport, say, but it was a health and safety leaflet that was aimed directly at art technicians and people working in art environments, and it just lists a lot of legal advice, a lot of safety and legal advice, things that your gallery should have in poster forms on their walls. But a lot of commercial spaces and a lot of smaller galleries just don't, because they don't have anyone there who's able to do this or actually understands this stuff. So we produced this tiny little leaflet which had an awful lot of information in it, and this leaflet again is available on our website. So if you are working somewhere and you think, hang on, this is a bit dodgy, you can actually go and refer to the website, and it will give you the standards and it will give you the law as well. So this was printed as a little leaflet, little handout, and then we had a couple of people from the union hanging around the back gates at the Frieze Art Fair, and we handed this out to as many of the art technicians as we could. So nice little bit of guerrilla unionizing. And then this is a piece I mentioned earlier on. This is on the website too. The address is down in the bottom right hand corner. This is a copy and pastable Word document that you can download, and this is just so that you can change it and fit it into your standards. And this is what we mean by the terms and conditions. You can include your terms and conditions. Now, this is a confirmation of booking document, and in it you can, it's got insert job title, insert hourly, daily work rate, and stuff like that. And you can set in paper your rates and your standards of the terms and conditions you want them to work by. And again, if they don't challenge this, that means they've accepted this. I tend not to send this as a letter. I know that some people do. That's a great way to do it. I usually copy and paste whatever's appropriate from this, add my information, and then do that as a little bit of small print at the bottom of an email. You know, when you get an email from somewhere that's quite official and it's just got a dream of legal jargon at the bottom. This is my version of this, and I add in my terms and conditions to those things as well. But I also do recommend that if you are getting a job and it's over the telephone, just ask them to email you. Just say, oh, great, can you text, or even text you the dates. So long as you have it written down from them in a traceable way, then that's good. That'll stand up anyway. But this is also a way of confirming that. They don't have to say, yes, that's great to that. If they don't contact you after this, it will be seen in court as read. So this is on our website as well. Now we're going to get into rate cards. This is something we've started working on recently, and we've asked all art technicians in the UK, not just members, to fill in this rate card. So if you are on this course and you're working as an art technician, I'd like you to really do us a favour and fill in this form. And it's open to all art technicians, art handlers, fabricators, framers and studio assistants working in the UK. The union will use the findings to establish the UK's first pay guidance for art technical sector, which will outline recommended minimum professional, general and managerial rates that will help the UK art technicians better negotiate their pay. Pay within the UK art technical sector is not yet standardised, so workers have traditionally been offered very low rates. Many also experience pay discrepancies according to venue, location of work and other factors, and have frequently work overtime with no compensation. One of our members has a horrible story, which is whilst they were working at a studio, they were on an 8-hour day during busy periods. This would often end up with them working 10 hours or more for a number of weeks. And this included when they worked away from home, like they'd be employed by the studio to go to the Venice Biennial, and they'd end up working like 12-hour days. And when they said to the studio involved that they were changing their invoice to reflect the hours work, the studio just stopped employing them. And, you know, they said, we do a hard job that requires skill, care and patience. We can't do it if we can't afford to live. Another BECTU member said a major London gallery I freelance with refused to pay overtime rates on weekends. They only offered overtime after 10 hours work. However, we're still asked to work longer than 10 hours. They're never asked to work longer than 10 hours. So it's like, after 8 hours, fine, you're still on the same day rates. You're getting a couple of extra hours for free from you there. But no, we're going to draw the line when it comes to actually paying you decently. Another one said, I used to work for an art centre in the Midlands that pays its art technicians less than £100 a day, and it still does. You're getting about £1 more than people who work in their caps, whilst having to build walls and work at height. I left because I don't think the rate reflects the job we do. And then there's a lovely quote from me. I'm basically reading you the press article here. Low wages, irregular work and lack of security will lead to a decline in diversity in the art handling industry. It's hard to see how individuals from lower social economic backgrounds can make ends meet, considering the instability and inadequate rates of pay. Sorry, I stumbled at the end there. So we're asking all art technicians to come to our website and fill out this survey. It is anonymous. There's very little point in this survey. There's no point in the survey where we actually ask you any information about yourself apart from, well, any identifying issue information about yourself. And you can fill it out a number of times. I filled it out because I do standard technical stuff. I do managerial stuff. I do conservation work. I do condition reporting, and I charge each one at a different rate. So I filled this form out about 4 times actually, and you can find that here back on our website. So we're going to make a rate card with the information we get, and this is a very simple rate card. This is the BECTU's standby stagehand rate card. And it just has, you know, the different rates that you get. Band 1 and 2 are probably just sort of trainee or, you know, new to the industry rates. Band 3 is probably standard rates, so that'd be, you know, what people who are experienced on and stuff like that. And features high-end drama, that's when you work with a place that has a lot of budget and expects you to work, you know, quite tightly and stuff like that. Here's a more complicated pay rate card, and this is again another one from TV. This is from the BECTU props branch. As you can see, it's sort of you know, they can become quite complicated rate cards, but everyone in TV and film, everyone in music, everyone in live events, they stick to them because they want the best staff there. They want to know that the people they're employing are professionals, and that's why they stick to the rate card. Here's our website again. There is information there. The website is our best resource. And yes, I have there's lots of information about the insurance there. There's a lot of information about BECTU there. There are links to the BECTU website and stuff like that. There's a lot of comments in the chat that I've not yet looked at. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we can go back to having a chat.
Yeah, it was mainly I've just pulled up the so you have to pay to be a member of the union. Oh, thanks for that, Phil. Sorry, whoops, that was rude. There are quite often discounts happening, but there's not one currently. But I'll just show you. This is currently how the rates are at the moment. So it's based on your earnings. So based on your earnings, your monthly subscription goes up and down, things like that. So you would be, for a year, you would be paying 120 is the lowest. upwards. I think I pay about around £20 a month, but they generally haven't put that up for ages, to be honest. And I'm definitely earning a little bit more. So, but you then would, so you become a member of the union, gives you access to legal and financial assistance. And just also someone just down the end of the phone. If you've ever got a query about anything, you can just call up the standard phone line, and they'll put you through to someone from our branch, or put you in touch with someone straight away to deal with your issue. Or they can often just answer the question right there and then. Then if you're getting insurance, that is additional on top, and that's £40 a month, isn't it? Is that right, Phil?
Not a month, it's annual. £40
Oh, annual,
annual.
yeah, sorry, whoops.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
pay with
Yeah.
the insurance, you pay a one-off fee. And it's weird at the moment because it used to be for, well, it's going to be for an entire 12 months. But at the moment, it's only from May to December because they're changing the calendars. They're changing it so that the insurance year fits with the calendar year, whereas it used to be like midsummer, so the following midsummer. You pay it once and you are covered from when you pay. So if it goes from January the 1st until December the 31st, and you pay in September, and because you just want 3 months of cover, it will still cost you 40 odd quid. Whereas if you join in like early in the year and get covered for 10 months, it'll still cost you 40 odd quid. So it is best that if when you do get the insurance, you get it at the turnaround, really, and it costs you the same, and you'll be covered for the full 12 months. But yeah, the insurance is additional to your monthly subs.
So any questions?
Nathan asked, could you leave a list of art tech training mentioned at the end? We at the moment, the branch hasn't got as far as the setting up art tech training events, but we are once we've done the pay rates, we are going to be questioning our members about what they want training to do. Now, BECTU do offer training with discounted training with stuff like forklift trucks, and when I'm an art technician, I drive a forklift truck almost daily. But we will be looking to get some more industry specific training coming, and we'll be asking our members to feed into that and basically tell us where they see skill shortages and what they want to fill those skill shortages with. Yes. Any other questions there?
I feel like most of them potentially have been answered via the chat, Phil, by Sarah, or in maybe some instances by myself with regards to CVAN. If there are any more questions coming through, if anyone wants to speak with Phil and Sarah directly to ask the question, please just pop your hand up and unmute yourself, or continue to put questions in the chat. I think it's good to give a few moments for people to think and digest, so I'll keep talking. Oh, is the forklift training available to be used across industries other than galleries and museums?
Yeah, it's just a standard forklift truck training. Like when you train for your forklift truck, you train on a specific type of forklift. So my license, I can only drive up to, I think, 5-ton forklift trucks. Beyond that, you have to get another license, and also there's different types of forklift truck thingies that I can't drive as well. Yeah,
it's not a specific course just for using forklifts in the arts. It's you're with general Joe Blows on the sorts of training that it's nothing specific. It's just a transferable skill. It's like the IPAF and PASMA training, so that's scissor lift and scaffold training that we've been able to provide through this particular project. We've had some subsidized spaces, and again, like Sarah and Phil have said there, it's kind of across industries, and you receive
yeah, kind of proof or evidence of having undergone that training. I think it lasts for, is it 3 years with the PASMA and the IPAF, and then you'd renew it. But yeah, that's delivered through, in our case, we've been working with UK Tools Limited. They're based locally in Nottinghamshire for anybody else looking for those, and they run those courses, you know, weekly, sometimes more than once a week.
With regards to joining, if you're not in a mad rush to join, keep your eyes out for special offers. BECTU will often do discounted membership rates for new members during stuff like Union Week and Young Workers Week and stuff like that. BECTU have a young workers group called for people who are under 35, and they're really good, very proactive group, and usually out, you know, partying at the conference and stuff like that, so it's always good to go and hang out with them.
Where's the best
yeah,
place to
they're
keep
very-
an eye out for that, Phil? Would that be on social media?
That would be on social media. BECTU will advertise it quite widely on their own social media and things like that. I mean, you're not going to find the press talking about Union Week and Young Workers Week, but our own Instagram account does mention it and promote it as well. But if you follow BECTU on any of your socials, then you'll see it, you'll be made aware of it, and it usually is either an annual discount or a few months for free, which can mean, you know, a few quid saved as well.
Great. I can look for those. What's the social media handles, Phil?
There's a lot.
I'm
Let me
just
get them
looking
up.
for it now.
There's,
I'll just put it in
uh,
the chat. I'm furious.
Yeah.
I found the ArtTechSpace one. So here's the link to ArtTechSpace on Instagram. So again, ArtTechSpace, it's where Sarah and Phil are coming at us from today, in terms of the work they do around supporting training and connecting art technicians across the country. And obviously we're very lucky to have had them based with us in the East Midlands over the last few weeks. And yeah, Sarah's just popped the BECTU Instagram account there, BECTU, and that's a specific art technician's Instagram for BECTU, isn't it? Because like you say, there's different branches.
and it's hilarious.
Are you making the
As well.
content on that account, Phil? Is that...
He sure is.
Yeah, there's the BECTU Art Technicians account, and also on Facebook as well, but there's a lot of accounts related to BECTU. If you just go into Instagram and search for BECTU, or even Prospect, who is the other side of BECTU as well, they represent people who work at the Museum of the Home and the National Gallery and the Tate and places like that. So within our union, we have quite a heavy amount of members in the museum and gallery industries as well. So quite a lot of influence as well, which we're hoping to get in the technical world.
Great.
Yeah, even if you don't become a member now, like if you do need assistance and you're not a member, just call BECTU and they'll find some way to help you, because they won't ever really just turn people away. Right, Phil?
Yeah, they're sort of,
yeah. They'll always find a way to help you. It might be that, like, if you need legal representation, they might just charge you like it's a really small nominal kind of fee of like 50 quid, I think it was one time for someone. But then you're a member and then they can support you. Yeah, just know that there is support out there, because it can be a bit lonely, especially as a freelancer. And in organizations that you don't have other people doing this work. We're here. Just drop us a line either through our socials, through our email on our website, but also just give BECTU a call through the main website, through the numbers there. And there's always someone who can help you.
Great. Are there any other questions from anybody? Anything that they feel hasn't been covered, or any further questions about the general CVAN ArtTechSpace training program and the upcoming online sessions we've got coming up? Just shout up, or you can contact us via email as well. If there are any final thoughts coming through. please drop them in the chat or raise your hands. If not, I'll just begin to say a massive thank you to Phil for that brilliant presentation and for speaking us through, and for Sarah as well for your input and support in asking questions. Some thanks there from Emily in the chat. So yeah, well, thank you so much. And we hope that some of you can join us on some of the other sessions we've got coming up again. So today from 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock, we've got the CVs and invoicing session. And then tomorrow, same time, 6 or 8 p.m, we've got RAMs and method statements. So there's still plenty of time to join up for those. Thanks everyone for your input. Have a great afternoon.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining
Bye-bye.
us, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.